Every company has difference makers, the people who go above and beyond what's required. This podcast is dedicated to the people who challenge the status quo and make good companies great. Today, we're sharing one story from one company in our effort to inspire others. And welcome to Difference Makers, Episode 5. Today, my guest, you may have seen recently on an NAMB panel that I hosted. If you'd like to check that out, go to the NAMB website. But today we have industry icon Shabi Asghar. Shabi is probably most well known for being president of New Century Mortgage, which at its time was, at its peak, was doing about $4.5 billion a month and was an industry leader. Shabi has dedicated his professional life to the mortgage lending industry, and during this time has really set the bar on how to effectively build teams that exceed and grow beyond industry expectation. So today we're going to talk about the what, the how, and more importantly, the why. Shabi, welcome.
Thanks, Jim. I'm looking forward to talking to you about the what, how, why, when, and where.
Okay, well, we're going to get right into it. Everybody wants to know. You're obviously well known, but a lot of people don't know about you. So that's what we really want to get into today. And I specifically have some questions for you about how you've built your teams and some of the things that you do that are special at your current company and to funding. So let's just start early. How did you get into the mortgage industry?
Well, interestingly enough, I happened to end up going to a job placement service straight out of college.
No kidding.
So it was really strictly pure luck that I ended up in mortgage. It was either that or I could be a district manager at Bed Bath & Beyond or regional manager at Enterprise Rent-A-Car. I ended up at ITT Financial, and I thought I was going to be selling stock, but I actually ended up making collection calls all day and getting on my motorcycle and knocking on people's door to collect the payment. I had to once repo a ping pong table. That's how I got into the industry.
Okay, so I didn't even know that. I didn't know you started in consumer finance. That's interesting. What do you wish you knew when you were starting out that you know now?
Oh gosh, the last 20 Super Bowl winners. I think I can't say what I wish I knew. Maybe I wish I had a better plan, because when you're younger, and it's easy to say now, but you're just worried about the next step, which is, okay, I want to get promoted. But it was never past, I want to get promoted. I should have thought a long time ago, I want to own my own company. I want to run my own company. I want to be a billionaire. But I wish I had thought bigger. I really do wish I thought bigger.
What do you think your unique skills are that have helped you become as successful as you are? What are those unique characteristics and skills you think that you have? And it's gonna get you a little uncomfortable because you have to talk about yourself a little bit.
I don't like to be perceived as bragging. I will allow myself two things that I will brag about. I think I've been very, very fortunate to have good people work with me. And the reason for that is I think I build an environment which allows them to succeed. I think we have a great culture. It's always been that way since day one when I was first promoted to a branch manager at Consumer Finance.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, we treat it like family. And I try to make work meaningful. I try to make it fun. I know we're doing a lot to help people get refinances, get in houses, but you have to make it meaningful and make it fun. So I'd say what I'm proudest of is I think that we build a culture, and I'm proudest of having really, really good people work for me. And a lot of people have loyalty, but I think the caliber of the type of person who's loyalty is important too. And I've been lucky. I have the best people. You're only as good as your people. It's a cliche.
If I've heard you say that one time, I've heard you say it 100.
Yeah, if I were to model it after anyone, I'd say for those of you who are sports fans or basketball fans, I'm more like the Phil Jackson type. I think I'll take people who are already good and create a culture in which they can succeed. If there's a weakness, I'm not a great trainer. I'm not a great teacher or coach. I can't take people and make them good. If you're already good, you're going to flourish with me.
I know you don't like to brag on yourself, so I'll do it for you. During the pandemic initial shutdown, I remember calling you one day, and you answered the phone. I could tell you were in the car. I said, "What are you doing?" You said, "Oh, I'm just out running errands." And I said, "Well, California shut down. What do you mean? What errands could you be running?" You said, No, I'm just doing some stuff. What are you doing, Shabi? Well, I'm running around to my employees' houses and dropping off food and supplies to all of my employees. And I thought, who does that? This is the president of a company that's driving around to his employees' houses, making sure that they're taken care of. And you said, well, I didn't think that was anything that big. I'm just doing what I do. And I thought, and I told you, that's so uncommon. That's so special. That's something that not everybody does. And it's obvious because when you have made an employment change in your career, typically there's 30 people right behind you coming with you. And that loyalty that you've built with these people, it's quite amazing, actually. So I guess we want to find out, where does that all come from? You learn to care about people, you learn to invest in people somewhere. Let's go back to the early part of your life. Where did you grow up?
Well, I mean, going back a little bit to your story, that's a quaint story about me delivering food to the folks when the COVID shutdown first started. At the time, though, it sounds nice now. At that time, though, when I was knocking on people's doors and they'd open and see me, they'd jump back like, "What are you doing? Where's your mask? What's going on?" And they'd come in and they'd have to hose down the bottle of tequila and whatever I brought them. But at the time, it seemed quite reckless. Now it seems like, with hindsight, hey, good job. But that's the only thing I knew how to do. I was in the office all by myself. All my folks and friends were at home working. I said, "Okay, what can I do for you? How can I help?" So I started taking orders from people. I said, "Look, you got a DoorDash guy coming to your house. Might as well be me."
Yeah.
So I did that. But going back, I think, to your original question, how did I end up being this way?
Well, where did you grow up? First of all, where did you start your early
I
life?
grew up all over the world. My dad traveled a lot, so I grew up a lot of foreign countries. I had never been to the same school 2 years in a row. And as luck would have it, my dad always seemed to figure out a way to get transferred in the middle of September or October after school started. So I was always the new kid in class, always being introduced. Here's our new kid, Shibi, Shibu, Shuba, Shibi, something. And that was always embarrassing. And I was a new kid in class. So I hated it at the time. I longed for McDonald's. I longed for cartoons on TV in America. But looking back on it now, it was great to have that experience traveling. But finally landed back in Virginia and went to junior high and high school in Virginia. So I settled in Virginia, then moved to California in 1980 and been here ever since.
Greatest influencers in your life, business and personal?
Oh, Gandhi and Lincoln. No, I mean, personal, obviously my dad. Um, Business, I'd have to say my original boss, Steve Holder, who I worked with for a long time, 20 years at New Century, Encore. He was just the greatest boss. I probably learned all my lessons from him.
Why was he the greatest boss?
Good question. He made work fun. I mean, I think I did learn from him. I'd have to say I'm not gonna say he's a mentor or I was his protege, but I think the lesson I learned, and I should know the answer to this. I think when you're young and easily influenced, you think of the relationship between a boss and employee as perhaps adversarial. The boss, I'm in charge.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I learned from him that it doesn't have to be adversarial. You can be team oriented and have fun and be. He was a leader and a champion. I think if I'd grown up under somebody else, maybe it was already in me and he brought it out, but maybe I would have grown up differently. I mean, my best explanation for Steve is his leadership is, I'll tell this story. This is him, really. I'm making it up, but this would be him. He could walk in one day to a team of people working and say, "Hey guys, we've had a great year, and it's just been fantastic and profits are off the charts. So we're going to 4-day work weeks now and you got 3 days off and I'll give everybody a 20% raise." And everybody's like, "Yay, Steve, we love you." Leave, come back, knock on the door. "Oops, sorry, I was reading the wrong reports. Turned out a little different. We're actually not doing as well as I expected. Yeah, everybody's got to take a 20% pay cut and you need to work 6 days a week." And everybody's like, "Oh, but I brought pizza." And everybody's like, "Yay, Steve." I would love to have that. I think I have some piece of that, but that's leadership. I would love to have what he had. That's je ne sais quoi. I don't know how he did it, but he got people to just run through walls for him. And I think I have a little of that.
How did your dad influence you?
Well, oh gosh, don't go there because I'll start crying. He just was the most generous, kindest person I've ever known. And everybody is, if you're lucky enough to have a great dad, would say the same. But he was very ambitious, very kind-hearted, not a disciplinarian. That's where I get that from. I'm pretty easygoing. A funny story about my dad, if I can say, is I'm Muslim, so that's how I was brought up. My dad's Muslim, and my dad was telling me one day before I go to school, son, we're Muslim and we don't eat pork. So when you're in school, a lot of times they have pork in the hot dogs.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't eat the hot dogs unless you're really hungry. And that sums up my dad.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So kind, generous, that translated for sure.
He was also a brilliant man. He was very smart. He was an electrical engineer. That's why we traveled so much. He moved from places to place that needed communications, airport communications. He did a lot of defense contract work, working for Litton and Northrop Page. And his last claim to fame was he was the project manager of the team that developed and introduced the airphone in the airplanes. And he was the guy who made that work. He was the project manager for airphone.
Wow, that's cool. How is it that you're so helpless with home improvement stuff then?
Because I only got the charm. I didn't get any of the intelligence. I literally have a certain aura that makes these things not work. I think this video is going to implode when we're done because this is going to disappear. We're going to have to redo it.
Let's talk about accomplishments. What would you say has been your greatest accomplishment to date in business?
Oh gosh, I mean, off the top of my head, the thing that came straight to my mind is right now, today. I don't want to look back on anything and say that was greatest. I think what we're doing right now is our greatest accomplishment. We're building a company from scratch. I was lucky enough to team up with Eddie Perez, who owns EPM Mortgage, built a little DBA, different brand under him, and with the backing of the mothership, I think we're doing fantastic. So I'd have to say right now it's the greatest accomplishment.
There's a lot of wisdom in that answer, life goes by. I mean, you and I share one thing in common, that we've both lost a parent, and if there's anything that taught us is that these are the good times and to live for now. And so your answer's beautiful. I mean, it's like your greatest accomplishment is what you're doing right now. So that's a great answer.
And I probably, because I owe a little bit to you, because those of us in the midlife crisis crew can share this. I was talking to Jim a little while ago about what I'm going to do with my life, and it resonates with me to this day, rings in my head. You said, Shabi, don't be wasting your time. You and I don't have a whole lot of innings left. And I've literally calculated, okay, if I live to be 90, and I'm 60 now, 55, that's going to be I'm in the 7th inning. Oh my God. Oh, but by the way, I'm not going to work till I'm 90. Oh my God, I'm in the bottom of the 9th right now. So, and I'm down 2-0. So that's why the urgency I feel. It's you don't really appreciate time until you don't have much left.
Greatest accomplishment personally? I think I know this answer.
I'd like to say I was the national champion in baking chili for the Southern California. I'd like to say I was a junior bantamweight boxer. I have to default to the proverbial cliche, my children. I mean, that's just the greatest thing in the world that happened with my 2 twins.
Yeah. From what I know about you, you're a great dad, and they certainly.
But not that I had anything to do with it. So it's probably what I'm proudest of. I can't say I accomplished anything. They're what they are.
You founded N2 last year, N2 funding. How do you feel like N2 is setting itself apart from the competition or the rest of the industry? Or is it?
We get asked that question a lot. And when people want to write a mission statement, they want to ask, well, what's different about your guys? What's different about your people? Everybody says they're great. And I really actually struggled with that. And I was surprised and disappointed in why I would struggle with what is it that makes us great. I think what distinguishes us from others is our management team, our people really care. And I know it sounds cliched, but we really, really do care deeply, more so than most people. It also helps to be skilled, because you could care a lot, but be totally helpless. Our people are very skilled and they care a lot. They care deeply. Our management team will pretty much do anything. I'm thinking of doing a marketing campaign. We dare you to ask us to do anything, and we'll see if we can't come through. Don't ask me to go 140% LTV on a loan. Don't ask me to do a 1.99 interest rate, but just about anything. You want me to drive in a car and go get loan docs signed in Fresno? We'll do that.
Difference Makers podcast is powered by Verity Search. Verity Search is a different type of executive search firm. With industry insights and access to data unlike other firms, Verity serves as a trusted advisor to its valued clients. Some of the key services include strategy planning, research, marketing, prospect identification, qualification, and recruitment across all markets and geographies. If you'd like more information, please check out the website at veritysearch.com. Your whole business was sort of built on the service aspect, right? And relationships. If there's anything I know about you, it's that you place a great value on relationships, both on the business side and interpersonal within the office, within your team. So can you talk a little bit about that? Because as we look at wholesale a couple of years ago, we had a loan sifter coming in, and suddenly brokers were looking at nothing but the top 10 price leaders, but then didn't seem to forget that there's a service aspect to this business, right? What does it matter if I publish the lowest price on earth if I can't close your loan or execute on the backside, right? So your loan office, the broker doesn't seem to understand sometimes that there's egg on the face if you can't perform, and you're only as good as your lender partner as it relates to that, right?
Yeah, we are very people oriented to a fault. It's people over process. It's all relationships, and depending on the type of customer out there, they might not be looking for a relationship. They say, look, I've got the loans that deserve the automation, the speed, and I'm going to send them there. And they don't need the relationship or the hand holding, the helping the broker structure a deal. That's just where I'm proud of our people, our sales reps. And we talked about this at the NAM conference call that we had. They help deal structure. They're knowledgeable about products. We're all about relationships, certainly within our team here and with our customers. Our customers, our AEs will go out babysit for them. They'll do whatever it takes. It's all about relationships. I know it's cliched, and maybe that's a smaller segment of the business that lends itself to that. Maybe it's 40%, maybe it's 30%, but we'll try to get as much of that business as possible and be better than anybody else at it. I know for a fact that our senior management team, I think they're the best at that. That's what we live for. But unfortunately, if you care too much or a lot, that's overwhelming, because people don't care. They don't care, literally. If there's a lot of work left at the end of the day, they don't care because they just left. Our people stress about it. They're online at 11 at night. They're online answering emails at 5 in the morning. And they're like bloodhounds that will just run till they die.
You can't just make somebody care, though. Why do they care so much? Why do you care so much?
It's a certain passion. It's not because again, not to minimize what we do. It's not like we have a passion for mortgage, like we're painters or artists. We just have a passion for helping people, doing a good job, taking pride in our work. And I really can't explain it. And I think whatever we did, this team would do that with this equal passion and desire.
I think it has a lot to do with having each other's back, don't you? Like,
yeah.
Hey, if I lay back on this, then the team, it's like one man out of the 5 men on the basketball court isn't playing defense, right? Or isn't fulfilling his role on the offensive scheme. It's like, I think there's a responsibility when you build a strong team the way you have. If one of them isn't toting their weight per se, they feel like they're letting the team down too. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we cover for each other. We've got each other's back. We are like a team. I believe sports is a microcosm of life, certainly business, and there's a lot of team analogies. We cover for each other, and we also are family.
Here we are again at holiday season, and another year is about to be, ticked off the board. Where do you see 2021 going for the mortgage business?
I think it's going to be more of the same. There's not enough capacity to handle the demand right now, and it's going to take a while for the egg to work its way through the proverbial snake, and rates are going to remain low. And so I think it's going to be more of the same. You're going to have good times for mortgage. It's sad to say, but our industry is counter-cyclical. So in good times we do well, but in bad times we do even better. And bad times meaning bad economic times. And I think we're going to continue to do well in the mortgage, and us in particular, to toot our horn. If you're a large company that has full market penetration nationwide, and you went from making up a number 1 billion to 2 billion, you might go back down to 1 billion, because where are you going to go now? You're not going to go to Canada or overseas. If our business gets cut in half in what we're doing right now, I literally have only 5 AEs in Southern California in this office here in Orange County. we'll start making loans in Colorado, Oregon, Washington, Utah, Florida, everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So the future is very bright for us.
How many people do you have now at N2 Funding?
At this time right now, I mean, we're adding daily. People walk by.
I noticed you just had a big hiring spree.
Yeah, we've actually only got about 53. So we'll probably do close to 200 million this month. That's 4 million per person. Take me out since I don't do anything, but we're probably about 55 people right now.
What advice would you give someone? I mean, you're obviously incredibly talented at building teams and really creating that environment that people thrive in. If you were to give advice to somebody running a business or starting a business or trying to build a team, what advice would you give them?
Gosh, I wouldn't profess to claim that I can know how to teach people how to be a certain way, but it reminds me of a story. Those of you familiar with Magic Johnson and Kareem, Magic had a reputation for being this effervescent, glowing, smiling, happy person, and Kareem was quite the sourpuss. And later in their careers, Kareem came to Magic and asked him, "Hey, how can I be more like you? You know, what do I need to do to be more like you?" And Magic's answer was kind of like, "Well, you can't just flip a switch and be that way. So when you ask me that question, you know, can you tell other people how to do that? I don't know how." But he told a story about how his rookie year they were playing, and at the end of the game, this gentleman came over with his 10-year-old son and said, "Hey, Kareem, would you please sign an autograph for my son?" And sourpuss Kareem just walked away, and Magic came running up. "Well, how about me? How about me?" And he signed the autograph. And so Kareem goes, "Oh yeah, okay, so I get it. Yeah." He goes, "Well, let me tell you, there's a little bit more to the story. Just last week, I closed on my the deal for the loan on my Magic Johnson's movie theaters, and you know maybe it's $200 million deal, and you know the CEO of the bank that closed that deal was that little kid I signed an autograph for." So that just resonated with me. It's like you either are or you aren't. You just can't turn it on and off. But maybe if you recognize it in others, give those people latitude and then give them the leash they need to run it that way.
You know, I think that's a lot about who you are. You're always like that. You're always upbeat. You're always positive, and you promote that culture. So, yeah, that's awesome answer. Thank you for that. We're gonna wrap up, but you know, in the spirit of Thanksgiving, I want to ask you, what are you thankful for?
Oh gosh, I mean, personally, obviously, there's a few things my kids, and professionally, it's so easy for me being a new guy on the block, starting this company. It's my dream company, but the people who took the leap of faith and joined me to help fulfill my dream, the people who originally joined my company, those fearless pioneers. Pam Scheit is my ops manager, chief operating officer. She joined me. Nicole, Gary, my two top AEs. Jeff Baker's a guy who left a great job to come join me. Dave Lopez, that's the original crew. Peter Duong, who joined me, and I'm really, really, really. I've tried to thank them, everybody in meetings, Christmas parties that we have, and I start crying. But that's what I'm most grateful for, those folks.
Yeah, and you'll forever be grateful, and they know it, and that's part of that
and
special.
Hopefully they will be grateful to me, and I'll do a good job in fulfilling and rewarding them. They'll say, you know, it was the best decision I ever made. So that's my job, to make sure that they can feel the same way about me, I hope.
Awesome.
And that's not self-serving. What I meant is I got to try to somehow repay the debt to them.
I got you. No, I got you. Totally. 100%. Well, that's a great answer. Thank you so much, Shabi. Thank you for your time and being so generous with it. To all of our listeners and our viewers, thank you for tuning in to Difference Makers. Happy Thanksgiving, and talk to you soon.